And that what in fact happened was Justin didn't harass Blake. Blake was interested in wresting control of this movie away from Justin, who was the director and the producer. She was just an actress in it, and used threats and coercion and bullying to do it. And to the point where this guy was in the basement at his own movie's premiere.
My favorite part of what I've read of this suit so far is that Blake Lively did not even read the book that the movie was based on.
Correct.
And we're not talking War and Peace. This is a book that's probably written at a second grade reading level.
Yeah.
That the movie was based on.
Correct.
And we're not talking War and Peace. This is a book that's probably written at a second grade reading level.
Yeah.
Hollywood, my friends, where a cinematic version of a cherished book can morph from passionate promise to a full-fledged courtroom circus quicker than you can say Academy Award nomination. Today's major attraction, Blake Lively, said to be looking at a possible 5-year jail term. Because evidently, when good old-fashioned lawsuits aren't dramatic enough, you toss in the fear of jail time. So grab your popcorn, organic, hand-popped by a personal assistant, obviously, because this catastrophe has more narrative twists than the film everyone keeps forgetting they originally set out to produce. Let's flash back to what seems like a century ago, back when fans thrilled at the news that It Ends With Us, a best-selling book recognized for its raw emotional depth, was coming to the big screen. At first, everything appeared just great. Justin Baldoni, famous for emotional storytelling, was at the helm. Blake Lively, admired for her comic timing and ability to infuse deep nuance to a character, moved into the forefront as the leading woman. Cue the excitement. Readers, admirers, media. Everyone thought the world had united to give something really remarkable. We had the ideal literature, the right actors, and a filmmaker committed to stay truthful to the story's emotional heart. Then, like a Hollywood cliche, everything all collapsed the minute the camera began rolling. Reports crept in, whispers that Lively wanted to incorporate more comedy into the screenplay, but Baldoni insisted on keeping loyal to the novel's somber, occasionally gut-wrenching themes. Apparently nothing screams emotional storytelling, like funny one-liners and runway-ready designer attire, but we'll get to the clothing drama in a second. For now, just image the fans, originally full of optimism, watching from the sidelines as their beloved story's translation transformed into a weird power struggle.
We've come across evidence that shows that even her own representatives knew that she was threatening and mean and tough and wanted to get her way. This is not something that we wanted out there. It's not something that Justin wanted out there. In fact, it hurts the movie. It doesn't help the movie.
My favorite part of what I've read of this suit so far is that Blake Lively did not even read the book that the movie was based on.
Correct.
And we're not talking War and Peace. This is a book that's probably written at a second grade reading level.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you're going to adapt a story that leans heavily on genuine emotion and human development, you may want to tone down the comic confetti. That's precisely what Baldoni sought to argue, reportedly. Meanwhile, Lively's group looked enthusiastic about widening the film's reach with caustic comedy and some opulent visuals. Because why not shroud emotional suffering in high-end couture? By the time the first on-set photographs surfaced, people began scratching their minds. Wasn't the narrative intended to make us weep, not giggle? The glossy photographs appeared more suitable for a rom-com than a gut-punch drama. Not unexpectedly, the internet erupted, and so did Lively and Baldoni, behind closed doors, of course. The director supposedly urged her to eliminate the comic portions or risk burying the core of the story behind punchlines and Prada. Lively, in response, allegedly claimed humorous relief may be just what a current audience desires. Since loss and healing match best with a humorous aside. At first, it was simply creative friction, typical Hollywood stuff. But in Hollywood's never-ending ambition to outdo itself, the tension erupted into a legal explosion. Lively alleged she was being undermined and marginalized. Baldoni fired back with receipts, apparently. In other words, standard Tinseltown drama. Next up, the day Baldoni decided a normal old lawsuit wasn't nearly dramatic enough and slapped a $400 million defamation suit on Lively. Yes, you read that amount right, $400 million, because evidently, If you truly want to declare war in Hollywood, you can't just go for a mere couple of million. You have to strive for a sum so enormous that sounds like a line item in a national defense budget. Baldoni's reason? He believes Lively publicly characterized him as a tyrant director who kept her out of critical choices. He further maintains that behind the scenes, she was more than ready to promote humorous rewrites, apparently advocating them if not openly demanding them. So was Lively actually overshadowed, or was she the hilarious puppet master all along? Depends on whoever you ask. In any other city, we'd label this a classic he said, she said. But this is Hollywood, darling. So naturally, we add a 0 or 2 or 9 to the lawsuit and make sure every gossip rag devotes its front page to the blow-by-blow updates. After all, if you're going to have your name damaged, you may as well go for high-stakes spectacle.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. And, and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also. And some of
Ryan
it will come
Reynolds?
as a surprise. Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Just when you thought we had hit peak melodrama, rumor has it that Blake Lively could have misrepresented or manufactured evidence, thus shifting the whole story. Some hush-hush sources believe there are text messages, meeting transcripts, maybe even recorded recordings that clearly contradict Lively's sworn assertions about how much humorous fluff she did or did not approve. Now, most Hollywood lawsuits center on money, bragging rights, and maybe an overblown feeling of self-importance. But the instant you add the threat of jail time into the equation, things jump from hot to totally searing. Could Lively, the actress best recognized for delivering funny lines and great outfits, actually face a 5-year jail term for perjury or anything close to it? In a city like Hollywood, where NDAs, screenplay leaks, and hush-hush settlements are the norm, some observers feel this whole Blake Lively might go to prison stuff is a big fat scare tactic. Settle with us, or we might just have to hand these damning receipts to the authorities, they mumble. Honestly, who wouldn't be spooked by the thought of prison? This isn't losing a position or paying a fine. This is possible prison time. And yet, the rumor mill continues spinning, spewing out these secret proof claims quicker than a Kardashian can generate a new season. It's enough to make you question whether these hush-hush releases are trying to drive Lively into a corner. Because nothing says negotiating tactics like frightening your co-star with orange jumpsuits. Even if you overlook the enormous lawsuit and possibly jail situation, there's still the subject of Lively's reported 180-degree change on stop phoning. Early screenplay comments and behind-the-scenes chatter indicate she was delighted about infusing some fashion flair into It Ends With Us. Think designer dresses, striking shoes, and camera angles that accentuate every item of couture. But reportedly, once fans and reviewers began whining that these looks trampled all over the novel's emotional roughness, Lively had to do some backpedaling quickly. That's when the breakdown completely emerged. According to Baldoni's crew, they say Lively was front and center choosing out comedy beats and daring clothing, only to later claim she was pushed into them. So was she overwhelmed by humorous fluff and couture, or was she the very one who requested a matching comedy music and a runway-ready color palette? Hollywood observers are split. Some believe she just went with the creative flow in early phases, then recognized it was going off course. Others argue that after the bad publicity flowed in, she altered her tune quicker than you could say Louis Vuitton. No matter whatever version you purchase, you have to admit it's deliciously ludicrous. A work about profound emotional traumas is overshadowed by disputes about humorous timing and Gucci belts. Honestly, if that isn't peak Hollywood, I don't know what is.
I'm a man, and this is a story that is told through the lens of a woman. And especially when it relates to intimacy scenes and to scenes where there is a mix of intimacy and violence, I wanted to make sure that those scenes had a female gaze. As much as I can try to see the world as a woman, I never will be able to.
And what's a Hollywood controversy without bringing in another A-lister? Enter Ryan Reynolds, reported to have supplied comic lines or cameo ideas. Because when you're married to Deadpool himself, it's only rational to harness that hilarious gold for your picture, particularly if you're dealing with the dilemma of how to prevent moviegoers from drowning in tears. But as soon as admirers of the book began booing at the humorous approach, it appears that cameo negotiations dried up. Suddenly, it became comfortable to pretend Reynolds' humorous insights didn't exist, or that Lively was never truly on. Bored with them. Some sources claim she sought to remove herself from such humorous inspirations, forgetting that in the internet era, private recommendations might emerge as Exhibit A, B, or C in a lawsuit. Of course, none of this is proven. Maybe Reynolds never got involved. Maybe he did. But here's the kicker. The Cameo reports emphasize the typical Hollywood chain reaction. 1 minute, everyone's thinking amusing ways to spice up a serious tale. The following, the audience dislikes the adjustment, so the star's best option is to disavow any involvement or risk being called the hilarious villain who wrecked a great work. Meanwhile, the director has genuine receipts, so guess who's left scrambling? Now we get to the real sorrow talk, perjury. Typically, defamation cases are about shattered reputations and hefty checks changing hands. Criminal charges, that's a different beast. For Lively to serve time, there'd need to be clear evidence she lied under oath or fabricated anything in an official position. Yet the rumor alone is enough to drive tabloids into a frenzy. Fans find themselves wondering, Blake Lively, prison? This must be a joke, but it's not really a joke. If reports of contrary evidence keep emerging, legal experts caution that perjury laws in some countries entail penalties up to 5 years. Is it the maximum theoretical sentence or the real penalty she may face? No one knows. Our crystal ball is on the fritz, but it hasn't prevented the headlines from shouting, 5 years, at every conceivable turn. Some feel Baldoni's team is puffing things up to acquire leverage. Others say Lively could, have twisted the truth once too often, and now she's in hot water. Either way, Blake Lively might go to prison is such a fantastically scandalous headline that it's overshadowing the whole movie. The true sorrow here could be for fans who truly wanted to watch It Ends With Us on screen without an accompanying side dish of legal madness.
What I make of that is that if your wife is sexually harassed, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue and you follow a legal process. What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke.
So where does this leave the adaptation the world was once so excited to see? Stuck in limbo, apparently. Investors don't want to put additional money into a picture overshadowed by thoughts of prison time. Marketing staff can't market a movie if they're constantly batting away queries about perjury or humorous rewrites. Baldoni maintains he still wants to respect the novel's emotional depth, but at this point, the audience is more attracted by the real-life drama than the fictitious one day. The rumor mill churns out murmurs that settlement discussions are going behind closed doors, with each party hoping to evade open court discoveries. The following day, fresh allegations emerge that Lively's legal team has impregnable countermeasures. Meanwhile, admirers on social media monitor every sign of progress or catastrophe, split between demanding a faithful adaptation and loving the spectacle of the meltdown itself. Let's not forget the awful book at the core of this tragedy. It Ends With Us is a very moving narrative about human development and endurance. Yet if you just read the headlines, you'd believe the most significant issue was whether Lively's funny lines or couture clothing damaged the essence of the original material. You can ask whether at this stage the adaptation is even salvageable, or is the picture destined to be known just as that project with the insane lawsuit and possible prison sentence? And so we leave you with the question that sums up all of Hollywood's absurdity. How could a touching narrative about emotional recovery evolve into a circus of litigation, multi-million-dollar defamation claims, and possibly criminal charges? Only Tinseltown knows, and it's not in the habit of explaining itself. Will Blake Lively truly see the inside of a courtroom, much alone a jail cell? Will Justin Baldoni receive that gigantic $400 million check? Or is this all a high-stakes game of intimidation? Maybe they'll settle peacefully, finish up the film, and release it with the tagline, "Inspired by the novel and the most chaotic behind-the-scenes drama you've ever seen." Hollywood is a place where truth may be more absurd than the fantasy it promotes. So brace up. This isn't going to evaporate quietly in the weeks or months ahead. You could witness leaked transcripts, mysterious Instagram messages, or even half-baked apologies that manage to say nothing at all. The only certainty is that we'll keep gawking at this calamity, fascinated by a show no scriptwriter could have imagined up better. And all while it ends with us accumulates dust on some studio shelf. In the end, maybe we'll get the adaptation we deserve, or maybe we'll get a cautionary tale about a business that can take a cherished narrative and twist it into a comedy tragedy of epic proportions. Either way, Hollywood will carry on spinning its drama because, let's face it, that's what it does best. So keep tuned. If you thought 5 years in jail sounded horrible, just wait till the next plot twist in Tinseltown. There's always space for one more, and it generally comes wearing fancy heels. Because in the City of Angels, even your wildest ambitions may turn into nightmares of litigation and probable crimes, replete with front-page headlines, expensive attorneys, and a star-studded supporting cast. And honestly, isn't that precisely why we can't stop watching? All right, show's finished. Hungry for more twists? You know where to find us. Keep that popcorn hot. We'll handle the drama. Want to watch the next battle in real time? Hit subscribe and buckle up.